I'm back! It's been a couple of months since I did one of these. And if you've been following my channel or know me personally, then you know that my wife Nikki and I just had a baby girl. Now that she's 3 months old, it's time for me to get back to this YouTube community. So let's jump right in. I'm sure you've heard all the buzz around Apple's WWDC keynote. And that's exactly what we're going to cover. Let's go. Hey everyone, and welcome to Taking It Offline. I'm Parth, and today we're diving deep into all the exciting announcements that came from Apple's WWDC 2024 earlier this week. They have some groundbreaking software updates and releases that we have to cover. So let's get started. Now, first of all, in classic Apple fashion, they have figured out a way to rebrand something that everyone's talking about, AI. It is not artificial intelligence for them. It's Apple Intelligence. Now, this is the core AI driving many of the new features and improvements across Apple's ecosystem. Apple Intelligence harnesses the power of Apple Silicon to understand and create language and images that take action across apps and draw from users' personal context to simplify and accelerate everyday tasks. What does any of that mean? So, let's talk about the features and I'll explain exactly what I mean by that. The first one I want to talk about is writing tools. So for example, if you're writing an email, you can change the tone to make it sound more friendly, professional, or concise. Another feature or part of the writing tools is proofreading. You can really use this tool to help you clean up your language and cover only what's important in the email. I think it's going to be super helpful and useful. Next up, what I'm really excited about is Genmoji. I think people can get really creative and group chats are about to be a whole lot more fun. The example they used was a T-Rex on a surfboard. You just need to type in the prompt and it'll create a Genmoji. Here's the best part. Since AI knows your photo library, you could create Genmojis pretty much with any pictures of yourself, friends, and family. I'm going to turn my friend Cuckoo into a silent ninja operator for sure. Next feature up is an image playground. You can create any image using different styles and your imagination. You can create personalized images like a meme or even for special birthday messages. I think that useful feature will be helpful for people that love using memes, in my opinion. Now, finally, I've been waiting on an update on Siri for a long time. It is by far the worst assistant when we compare it to Google Home, Alexa, and many of its competitors. So I was really looking forward to what Siri updates they have. Siri now uses advanced AI algorithms to provide more accurate and context-aware responses. They claim that with natural language, you can talk to Siri more naturally. So even if you stumble upon your words, like I have in this video so far, Siri will understand. We'll just have to wait and see how accurate this really is. See, Siri will also remember what you've been talking about, so you can have continuous conversations apparently. To me, a useful feature that they added is personal context. This means that there's a direct integration of Siri to photo, calendar events, messages, and other apps. So let's say you ask, when is mom coming to visit? And when is her flight landing? Siri will find the schedule in your messages and tell you right away. I think that's super cool. But again, let's see how efficient it really will be. Now, last but not the least with Siri, you can now type to Siri. We all know we don't want to be the one that constantly talks out loud to Siri in front of a group setting. So I think typing to Siri is going to be super helpful. And the other new feature that they've released is priority notifications. Apple Intelligence will predict what notifications should be prioritized for you and show them to you accordingly. I'm excited to see how useful this feature is going to be because I personally have a lot of wasted notifications that take up extra space on my screen. Now, the reason we talked about Apple Intelligence first in our video is because everything else that we talk about in terms of the updates, Apple Intelligence will be tied into it. Next up, we're going to talk about VisionOS, which is a game changer in how we interact with our devices. VisionOS 2 is a major update that makes Apple's Vision Pro experience even better, including the ability to turn favorite photos into stunning spatial photos, intuitive new hand gestures, and all new capabilities in popular apps. Now, I personally don't own a Vision Pro device, but I think with this new VisionOS update, it's something worth investing in. See, VisionOS introduced a revolutionary spatial interface that users control with just their eyes, hands, and voice. One of my favorite features part of this new update or the release is the Mac mirroring. You can now mirror your Mac to a gigantic screen. Like, I'm literally talking about a massive virtual screen. Now, it's ideal for productivity and or entertainment. I like the example they used was on an airplane and the screen was massive. I thought that was super cool. See, VisionOS transforms how we interact with digital content, making it even more immersive and accessible. I'm hoping to get myself one soon. Now, this is a PSA to my wife to potentially surprise me for Christmas. See, I even stumbled on my words there because I'm scared she might be listening while I'm recording. Next up, we have iOS 18. With the combination of Apple Intelligence and new features of iOS 18, our phones are about to get a whole lot smarter. Almost like an Android. No, I will not buy an Android phone, but let's be honest, they've had some of these basic features available for years. The one thing to note is the best use case for iOS 18 will be on iPhone Pro Max and the iPhone 15 Pro, because Apple Intelligence will only be supported on these devices. So all the features we referenced in Apple Intelligence segment will be available on these two iPhone models. Now, one of the key features they talked about was how you can place your apps and widgets right where you want them. Arrange them along the bottom for quicker reach or off to the side to frame a favorite wallpaper. Or give each page of your home screen a unique layout that's most helpful to you. I'll have to create a separate video closer to iOS 18's release to dive deeper into all these features and maybe even show you demos on exactly what I'm talking about. But some of the key highlights of the features they talked about were locked and hidden apps. Now you can lock an app to require Face ID, Touch ID, or your passcode for access. See, information from the app won't appear in other places across the system, including search and notifications, so others don't inadvertently see sensitive information, and just as easily hide an app to move it into a hidden apps folder that's locked. The next feature they talked about was Control Center. The update they're saying is redesigned Control Center features new groups of controls which you can access more fluidly with a single continuous swipe down on the home screen. This includes Controls Gallery. Apparently you can now add more controls from the Controls Gallery, which displays all your options in one place, including new controls from your favorite apps. That's pretty cool. Photos app. Now they claim this is the biggest redesign ever to Photos. Well, it's about time. Google Photos has been doing everything they mentioned in this update for years. The new Photos app keeps your library organized and makes it super easy to find photos fast. We'll have to wait and see how efficient this search and library function will really be. The next update is Messages. I have been waiting for this update for a long time. A lot of new updates with Messages, so let's go through them. First one is Message Effects. In addition to bold, italics, and underline, and strike through, you can now apply playful animated effects to any letter, word, phrase, or emoji in iMessage, many of which are automatically suggested as you type. The next is Messages with Satellite. With the satellite capabilities on iPhone 14 or later, you can stay connected with friends and family over iMessages or SMS, even with cellular or Wi-Fi service. I'm really curious to see if this is only the case in emergency situations or this feature will work throughout. Now, the best one. If you're really bad at texting and forget to respond to people, this is going to be gold for you. Whether it's too late at night or too important to forget, you can now schedule a message to send at a specified time. That's amazing. The Mail app also got some major updates, but I won't even bother covering this because you should just get the Gmail app It's so much better. Lots of new updates to Safari, like highlights and reader mode. But again, I don't want to cover this because you should just get the Chrome app. It's so much better. There are things that Google just does better than Apple. And if you can get the app, then you can have the iPhone and take advantage of Google. Now, overall, iOS 18 is a significant step forward. And I think with Apple Intelligence, it makes it even more indispensable. So I'm excited as to where we're going to go with iOS 18 and with iPhone 15 being the model that's driving it. Next up, we have iPadOS. Now, talking about iPadOS 18, we have to talk about all the jokes, the tweets, the videos that have been flying around for years. The iPad did not have a calculator. Well, they finally do. Along with Calculator, they released Math Note. Now, this comes with the handwriting tools that they've released in Notes, all designed for Apple Pencil. Now, maybe I'll finally use my Apple Pencil. The new Math Notes calculator lets users write or type math expressions and see the solutions instantly in their handwriting. Users can assign values to variables for learning or budgeting. It also has a graphing feature, allowing users to add graphs with one tap and compare multiple equations on the same graph. All math notes are saved in the Notes app in a special Math Notes folder. This makes it easier for kids or whoever's using this app the most, easily accessible. The basic and scientific calculators on the iPad now make it easy to view complete expressions before actually completing them. See, history also helps users keep track of previous calculations and unit conversions. And it also lets users quickly convert length, weight, currencies, and so much more. This will be really helpful to our American friends that aren't the best at converting into different units. Now, SmartScript with Apple Pencil makes handwritten notes smoother and easier to read while keeping your personal handwriting style. It straightens and smooths text in real time for better legibility and allows easy editing like typed text. See, users can add space, erase, or paste typed text in their handwriting, with paragraphs adjusting automatically to fit new content. We almost will not need paper anymore. The Notes app brings enhancements to typed text as well. See, for added convenience, users can now organize the content of their notes by collapsing sections under headings or subheadings. And for information that needs to stand out, they can choose from 5 new text highlight colors. This is pretty cool. As you can see in the demo here, this is an entire revamp, not just to iPad, but also to the Notes app. Next up, we have an update to the macOS and watchOS. Apple is introducing the update to the macOS and they're calling it Sequoia. The biggest feature and takeaway for me was the iPhone mirroring. You can now mirror your iPhone wirelessly on Macs. The rest of the Mac will get an overhaul and become a lot more user intuitive with Apple Intelligence's integration. We'll have to create a separate video to dive deeper into this different software updates that Mac is receiving. Now, for all the Apple Watch fans, watchOS 11 has brought some fantastic new health features, many of which are driven by Apple Intelligence. Now, since my wife and I recently went through this, I think the coolest feature they talked about with the watch, watchOS 11, was the additional support for pregnant users to reflect changes in their physical and mental health during this important time. See, when users log a pregnancy in the Health app on iPhone or iPad, the cycle tracking app on Apple Watch will show their gestational age and allow them to log symptoms for things frequently experienced during pregnancy. They will also be prompted to review things like their high heart rate notification threshold, since high heart rates tend to increase during pregnancy. I will create a separate video for the watchOS as well as we get closer to the update being released. And that wraps it up for some of the key features and highlights from the Apple event. I hope you enjoyed the video, and now that we're back, stay tuned for so much more content. Remember, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below your thoughts on what you thought about the Apple event itself if you watched it, Or tell me about what the features I talked about and how they might be useful to you, or if they're not going to be useful at all. As always, this is Parth. I'm taking it offline. Until next time.